The fragile peace afforded to Northern Ireland after the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998 is in jeopardy after the leader of one of the agreement's signatory parties announced there is no basis for the Unionist majority population to continue to support it. Progressive Unionist Party leader Billy Hutchinson says the agreement has led to an incremental weakening of the union between Northern Ireland and Great Britain.
Our Northern Ireland reporter Doogie Beattie joins us live from Belfast with the latest. Doogie, just to explain to us the developments.
Well, I have spent the weekend on the ground in and around those areas that Billy Hutchinson would have represented and still does, and I was pleasantly surprised actually to know that the young people there are very, very aware of the problems with the protocol. There has been some arrogance on the hill behind me out of politicians who would tell these youngsters that they don't know what they're doing, they have no clue politically, and they would tell them what is wrong with them. That is a dangerous line to travel, but unfortunately on the Hill and across Europe, the rhetoric that has been coming out of politicians' mouths is astounding, and it is winding up tensions even further. I spoke to some of them yesterday, and it all started with COLUM Eastwood. More burnt buses, police under fire, and youths on the streets, all a product of the Northern Ireland Protocol. And politicians claiming that the rhetoric is too much, then doing exactly that.
People like Lord Frost and senior members of the DUP need to think very carefully about the language that they're using, because they are creating more and more instability on the streets of Northern Ireland. Does anybody here or anywhere else in Northern Ireland who has any basic understanding of Irish history think it would be a good idea to put border posts on the island of Ireland? I'm not sure they do.
Now the PUP, the political wing of the loyalist UVF, has withdrawn its support for the Good Friday Agreement. The very institution the protocol supposedly was there to protect.
But what we are saying is that the Good Friday Agreement as it is now wasn't what we signed up to, and what we're asking is for a rebalancing. So that's what we're talking about. People, it's rhetoric whenever we say it, but it's not rhetoric when Republicans say it. And that's the difficulty. The SDLP should listen to what Republicans say and talk about their rhetoric. They should also listen to some of their councillors and see the rhetoric comes out of them. Nothing that I've said today is rhetoric. It's reality. This is what's happening in these communities. And, those young people and others who they're talking about, they talk down, tell them, and they think they know everything about the young people, and they don't. The reality is the young people's frustrated, and they will get involved in acts of violence. This party wants to see these young people developed.
The DUP leader has pointed the finger at Dublin and Brussels for careless talk during these tense times.
Well, I think COLUM Eastwood would be better served if he was to point the finger towards Dublin and the comments of Simon Coveney, who is firing warning shots at the UK government, using megaphone diplomacy instead of getting around the table and trying to resolve these issues. Maybe COLUM might also look at the comments, the disgraceful comments made by an EU spokesman last night when he said that the EU was prepared for peace but ready for war. What does that mean? What kind of rhetoric is that to engage in at a time of tension? Surely we should all be taking steps to calm things down.
One thing is for sure, with every political failure, violence fills a vacuum, and with no support in the Unionist communities, the protocol will have to change. Doogie Beattie, GBNews, Belfast. Well, you could see from that politically we're in a mess, and when that happens, the streets start filling with young people whose lives are going to be destroyed by criminal records and being pulled into things that they shouldn't be. This happened all before. I lived through it in the 70s. I watched many of my friends and others being pulled into things that should not be. Now, we are in election mode here. The election will be called any time between now and spring, and unfortunately parties like the Alliance Party, the Ulster Unionist Party, they won't come near a microphone. It used to be that it went to the opening of an envelope, but now, because they're afraid of getting involved in something when they're not in government, that they don't want to look in front of a microphone that might trip them up. You also have the same problem in the Republic of Ireland. Simon Coveney and Micheál Martin are from two different parties. They sit across a very fragile coalition government, and they're afraid if Article 16 is fired, but which really doesn't matter. Article 16 is really only about a downtime to talk some more. It doesn't really ruin the protocol as such, but it means that Britain is serious at trying to bring it forward. Their government may well fall. they too are now playing for political stakes and political capital in the Republic. The problem with that is every time these people open their mouths, buses are burned and streets start seeing violence.
Dougie, I'm just interested in when you talk to young people there, particularly Unionist youngsters, do they feel they've been sold out?
Oh, most definitely they do. Boris Johnson is not a liked character in these loyalist areas. They definitely feel that they have been part of the UK all their lives. They're working class areas. This would be equivalent to Blackpool or Preston or Liverpool being pulled out of the United Kingdom and set aside. They're from old industrial areas, and they really have been left behind. They, not only politically in a lot of ways, but they feel that they have to apologise for things that are put on them from the past many, many years ago. And they feel that their culture, more than anything, is under threat, not only from the UK, not only from Britain, but, I mean, even here, it's a 100-year centenary this year of Northern Ireland. And, I mean, some of them were saying to me they weren't even allowed to put a commemorative stone in behind here in Stormont. The City Hall wasn't allowed to be lit up. This building behind us wasn't allowed to be lit up to celebrate the centenary of Northern Ireland. So they really do feel disconnected. And it's the politicians here and in London that is causing this. And we've seen exactly the same thing with Brexit, when people in the north of England felt so disconnected from the rest of the UK, and we're seeing that playing out now, and it is a very, very dangerous line to be going down.